Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss the structural basis of cellular information. The cell, which contains the nucleus, and the nucleus contains the major information molecule which is known as the DNA. And to know about the details of the structure of the DNA, we are here to discuss the structure of the DNA and how this DNA is going to be useful for a number of cellular information transfer. Basically, the DNA is used for the storage and expression of gene information. The storage means that all the information that the gene, because the DNA contains the gene, so all the information is present in that DNA in the form of genes. And this storage is done in the form of DNA, and this DNA is closely packed in the form of chromosomes. And these chromosomes are well organized in the nucleus of the cell. So the main function of the DNA is the storage of cellular information, and then this storage, when needed, is transferred in the form of expression of genetic information. So this genetic information is going to be expressed in the form of proteins. This is what I am talking about, the DNA. The DNA is organized into what? Into chromosomes. And when we talk about the cellular information, we talk about both the eukaryotic and prokaryotic systems. In the eukaryotic systems, we study DNA in the form of chromosomal material. But in case of prokaryotes, the chromosomal material plus the extra chromosomal material also present, and this extra chromosomal material in the prokaryotic system is known as plasmid. So what are plasmids? These plasmids are non-chromosomal DNA in the prokaryotic systems. And how this information is going to be transferred? This information is going to be transferred in the form of central dogma of molecular biology, which is known as transcription and then translation. When the DNA is converted into RNA, this phenomena is known as transcription, and the conversion of RNA into proteins is called as translation. So here we discussed that how the cellular information is present in the form of different structures in the cell. It is present in the form of DNA, which is organized into chromosomes in the case of eukaryotic cells, and in case of prokaryotes we have both chromosomal DNA and extra chromosomal DNA, or also known as non-chromosomal DNA. And this non-chromosomal DNA in case of prokaryotes is known as plasmids. And what about the RNA? The RNA, firstly the RNA is used as a molecule which transfers the genetic information. And secondly, some viruses contain RNA as a structural basis of cellular information. So genetic information is transferred from DNA and finally converted into proteins, which is the central dogma of molecular biology and called as the transcription and translation. And RNA, as I discussed before, RNA is a molecule which works as a messenger. And secondly, RNA is also present in some viruses as a genetic information center. And what are proteins? This genetic information which is present in the form of DNA is finally converted into proteins. So these proteins are the biological workers. So genetic information is organized in DNA, and when it is going to be transferred into biological workers, which there's all the physiological activities are done with the help of proteins. These proteins are going to be synthesized from the DNA by the RNA molecules, which works as the messengers. So this is how the genetic information is going to be transferred. And we know the importance of all the three biomolecules, which are DNA, RNA and proteins. All the DNA which is going to be present in the cell undergoes a process of replication. This replication is known as the doubling of DNA. The doubling of DNA is called as the replication, where the 2 strands of DNA are converted into 4 strands. The overall process of replication is done, and we get many copies of DNA. And this DNA is then further converted into biological workers, which are proteins, by undergoing the process of central dogma of molecular biology, one by one. Firstly, transcription, then translation. And by replication, we got many copies of DNA, and then by using these DNA copies, we can get many proteins of the different cells, which needed different types of proteins for their physiological activities. You can see in this diagram, first of all, the DNA is going under the process of replication. We will see in details the process of replication by firstly knowing the structural basis of all the biomolecules. And then after the completion of the process of replication, the second process will be transcription and then the translation. So what is DNA? DNA is the deoxyribonucleic acids. Being second year MBBS students, you have already discussed in detail the metabolism of nucleotides. In that part of your syllabus, you have learned the different nucleotides. So DNA is a polymer of nucleotide monomers, which could be of different types. DNA is made up of 4 bases: adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine. And the sugar in case of DNA is the deoxyribose sugar. Here is the structure of one molecule of DNA, which contains the sugar part and the base part of the nucleotide, which are going to be responsible for the binding of the other nucleotides and then lead to the formation of 2 strands which run in antiparallel manners and serves as the structural basis of cellular information. So here in this slide you can see the 4 bases: purine bases and the pyrimidine bases. Purine bases are adenine and guanine, and it contains 2 carbon rings. you can see the purine rings are of double ring structure, and in case of pyrimidines they are single carbon ring. And the examples of pyrimidines in case of DNA are thymine and cytosine. All these A, T, G and C nucleotides are going to be arranged in the form of DNA chains, where different bondings are present. Nucleotides are joined with phosphodiester bond. You can recall all the bonding of the other biomolecules, which are the major biomolecules of the human body, like carbohydrates, which contains the glycosidic linkage, proteins, which contains the peptide bonds. So the DNA, the main bond by which different nucleotides are joined together, is the phosphodiester bond. Diester bond means it is between two nucleotides, and phosphate group is responsible for the joining of these two nucleotides. So the sequence of bases can vary. You also know that A is going to be bonded with the thymine, and G is going to get bonding with C, and the bond between A and T are double bond, and G and C have triple bond between them. So according to this bonding, the different bases which are going to join together, these are responsible for this bonding. So these are extremely very long chains of the DNA, which are closely packed with each other in the form of antiparallel strands, and form the DNA molecules. Here, when all the bonding is done, then two polynucleotide chains are joined together by forming a double helix. Double helix means two DNA molecules are joined around each other and gives rise to a double helix, which is a twisted in right-handed way. If it is going to be twisted in right-handed way, then it is going to be to cause the formation of major and minor grooves. What does it mean? When the double helix are twisted in the right-handed way, then some major and minor grooves are going to be formed according to the bases present. If the G and C bonding are present in large amount, then the distance between the ladder is increased. That's why it causes the formation of minor groove. And if the bonding between the two strands is of less nucleotides, then it causes the formation of major groove outwards. So the distance between the two base pairs are different, and the bonding between the two antiparallel strands or the double helix also varies, and the bonds are called as the phosphodiester bonds. When these sequences are joined with each other in antiparallel strands, then you can see the formation of a ladder structure. which could also be called as the ladder structure. And if you can consider it a ladder if you consider the bases as the steps, sugars and phosphates as the supporting pillars, then you can see how the ladder is going to be formed by the help of different bases, and these bases are going to be present inwards, and sugar and phosphates are going to be present outwards of the structure of the DNA, leading to the formation of a ladder. And the most important thing is that in the DNA sequence, these two nucleotide chains run in opposite direction. If the one strand is from 5' to 3' direction, then the other strand must be from 3' to 5' direction to compensate the bonding of the bases. And the bonding between the bases is of hydrogen bonds. This is the previous concept of complementary pairing, where you can see the two strands run in anti-parallel strands, and the sugar and phosphates are protruded outwards, and inwards the bases vary in numbers. And the complementary pairing means that A always binds with D and G always binds with C. Means guanine has the pocket for the binding of cytosine, and adenine has the pocket for the binding of thiamine only. So the spaces between the chains is limited. And the complementary pairing is vital for the use and storage of genetic information. And one old concept that the complementary pairing is stabilized by hydrogen bonding. This is the overall information by which the DNA is going to be organized with the help of phosphates, sugars, and different types of purines and pyrimidine rings. And this is the final confirmation in which you can see the organization of DNA into chromosome. As I told you before, that the structural information is present in the form of DNA. In eukaryotes, the DNA is organized into chromosomes only, chromosomal structure. So here we will see how DNA is going to be arranged in the form of chromosomes. First of all, DNA is going to be bound around beads on a string, form of a chromatin, and these are made up of different types of proteins. DNA is going to be arranged around different types of proteins, and the protein plus the DNA mixture is known as the nucleosome, where the DNA is going to be arranged around proteins. So after the folding of this DNA around the protein, different chromatin fibers are going to help in the conformation of these nucleosomes. The interaction of these chromatin fibers with the chromatin is the next step. And finally, they are going to be compressed in the form of chromosome. And if you see it, outwards, then you can see how the chromosome, we can zoom out one part of the chromosome and you can see the different condensed scaffolds. These condensed scaffolds could be heterochromatin or euchromatin. If it is exposed, it is known as euchromatin, and if it is arranged in a manner like it's not exposed, or it's not going to be replicated further, or it is not available for the process of replication, and it is in the form of condensed form, then it is known as heterochromatin. And if you move downward, then you can see the chromatin fibers, and by detaching these chromatin fibers from the proteins, you can get the strings of the DNA. This is how the DNA is arranged in the form of chromosomes. And there are different parts of the chromosomes which are used for the study of chromosomal abnormalities, which is known as karyotyping. In the next lecture, we will see how this karyotyping helps for the study of different chromosomal abnormalities, out of which some of the diseases are Down syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome. These are all the chromosomal abnormalities which are studied with the help of karyotyping, which is the study of chromosomes, the number of chromosomes. So in the next lecture, we will start from the process of replication. Thank you.